Hi everyone, I'm Andrea and welcome to Futura's channel. Today we're going to be talking about how the GMAT score is calculated and which score can get you in which universities worldwide. But the first thing we should analyze is actually how the GMAT is composed and what parts of the test actually matter in order to get a really high score. So when we normally look at the GMAT, we see that it's composed of 4 different parts: quant, verbal, integrated reasoning, and also AWA, which is the analytical writing assessment. When it comes to actually calculating the score for the GMAT, so the scores in the 600s, 700s that you see online and that you see on university websites, those scores are calculated based solely on the scores of quant and verbal, while the integrated reasoning is calculated with a score from 0 to 8, and the AWA, so the analytical writing assessment, is calculated with a score from 0 to 6. But they actually don't matter at the end of the day for the score that you actually present to university and then gets you in top business schools worldwide. Okay, now let's look deep into how the score for quant and verbal is calculated. So both the sections are composed of different questions that regard different topics. For example, in quant, we have data sufficiency and problem solving. For what concerns verbal, we have sentence correction, reading comprehension, and critical reasoning. Each section has a score from 6 to 51. And GMAT is an adaptive test. So essentially, your score is not calculated solely based on the number of questions you answer correctly and the number of questions you don't answer correctly. But it actually matters more if you answer correctly to a question that the system thinks is really hard. So your score might be really high even though you can make some mistakes. And what happens is that based on the mistakes you made, you get ranked into a bracket that, as I said, goes from 6 to 51. And to those brackets, it's the metrics of those 2 different brackets actually gives you a composite score. The composite score is what goes from 400, 500, up to 800. 800 is the maximum and it reflects a perfect score on both the section of the GMAT. So whenever you see people saying, oh, I got 650 in the GMAT, I got 730 in the GMAT, what does that even mean? Well, if we look at the scores above 600 points, it means that you did better than 50% of the candidates that took the GMAT. So you are in the 50% percentile. When you got a score above 700, it means that you are in the top 10% who took the test. So you did better than 90% of people that took the GMAT, which means you are in the 90th percentile. But what gets you in top business school worldwide? Well, a score above 760 is what gets you in the top 1%, in the really elite of GMAT test takers, and so makes you a perfect prospect for top business schools globally. But one thing that you should really keep in mind when you look at a GMAT score is the fact that actually GMAT is more of a checkbox for universities. So once you pass a certain threshold, you can improve your score, but that's not what's going to make your chances of admission incredibly higher. So every score that you take that's above 700, and don't get me wrong, normally a student that gets above 700, it means that they have studied more than 100 hours for the GMAT. Once you get above that threshold, it doesn't really matter that much to go from 730 to 750. What really matters is that you pass that certain threshold, so you're eligible to be considered by top universities worldwide. What truly will make a difference at that point in your application is whatever else is in your application itself. So if you wrote a really good essay, if your CV is really good and is really outstanding and it's really different from the ones that they normally get in the application process. But if you look at the top business schools worldwide, what's the score that will certainly get you into every school? Well, first of all, as I said before, a score above 700 is perfect to be considered by every university in the top 25 universities global, the top 25 MBA program in the world. But if we actually look at the US universities, it's actually required because out of all the top 25 business schools in the US, only Duke in 2017 admitted students at an average GMAT admission score lower than 700. It was actually 698. But then even that university saw the GMAT average score of its student go up, and it passed the 700 threshold. So if you look into American university, if you really want to study in the US, then you should aim for a score that's above the 700. While if you look at Europe, only 2 universities have an average score that's above 700. And those 2 are the London School of Economics and the INSEAD. Those schools require scores that are above 700 and have an average GMAT score that's slightly above that number, like around 710, 720. But if we look at other top business schools in Europe, even a score above 650 can actually get you in your dream university in the old continent. If you look at Asia, things are really different. For example, HKUST, which is the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology, requires a score that's above 640. And when you look at their website, it actually shows that they accept score from 570 up to 700, 780. So like it's a really wide range. Like it goes from the 57th percentile to up to 100 percentile. So like top scorer, people that get like perfect score on the GMAT. And this is really different from other universities because HKUST is the 14th best program in the world for an MBA. So actually you can get into the university even though you don't have a perfect GMAT score. So in Futura, we've developed a course that can help you achieve your educational dream. And one of our goals is to actually really understand what's enough for you. We don't want you to spend countless hours practicing for GMAT. We want to make sure that you always have the top content to get you in your dream MBA program. We don't really want you to overstudy for GMAT and get a score that's maybe not even needed for your program. So we want to create something that can actually satisfy your dreams without you wasting time for it. So thanks for watching this video and subscribe to our channel.